Hello weaving friends. Today me and my little friend here, Bertha, are going to be talking to you about some pro tips to photographing your hand woven pieces, and we're just going to use a couple of pieces of my own as an example of ways that you can show your pieces to the best of their ability. Now this is really helpful for those of you who are selling your hand woven pieces, but also just for those of you who maybe you give away your pieces, maybe you keep them for yourself, but you want to have those really nice looking photos as a recording of the memory of how the piece looked when it was finished. Now I do have some other resources for you related to this topic. We're not all about photography today, we're about arranging pieces as well. It's basically making them look as good as you can. I'm not going to go fully into all of the ins and outs of photography because there's a lot, but I do have a photography for weavers class. I'm going to link that down below. It's a very affordable class and it shows you how to use your smartphone in order to take great photos. Yes, smartphones are that good these days. And also I've written a magazine article on this topic that you can get, and I will link to that magazine down below as well. Okay, I'm going to start today by talking about little Bertha here. She has been with me for many years now, and if you weave a lot of scarves, shawls, anything that's wearable really, having one of these is a really worthwhile investment. They are quite affordable. You might be surprised. There is a difference in the price ranges. From ultra cheap to a little more expensive. Personally, I would go for the little more expensive rather than the super cheap option. From memory, Bertha here was about the mid-range. But basically, what this is a mannequin. And don't get confused between the mannequin and the dress form, because a dress form is something else. That is like adjustable, and the idea is that you use a dress form, you specify it to your own measurements, and so when you're sewing clothes for yourself, you can try them on your mannequin that is the same shape, fit as your body. These mannequins are like shop mannequins. They come in a specific size, they're not adjustable, and they're basically just for display. These are available on Amazon. I'll link to one that's similar to Bertha down below so that you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But also it's possible that you may be able to get like an ex-demo model from a shop. You know, they have the mannequins in the windows. Often they use a certain style of mannequin for a certain amount of time, and then the fashion changes or whatever fickle thing happens and they want to chuck them out and get rid of them. That's where you could come in and say, hey, can I have that? Or can I, throw $10 your way or whatever to have that mannequin? That's another option anyway. But if you choose to buy one new, they are pretty affordable. They last for a long time. So Bertha is made from a hard foam with a kind of satiny but stretchy fabric over the top. She is on a stand, in case you can't see that, and this is actually what I consider a crucial part of it, because you can buy them just the torso without the stand as well. But for hand wovens, well, if you want to photograph a scarf or something on them, you need that extra length. And also just makes it easy because you can kind of, instead of having to position a torso somewhere or whatever, sounds really weird, doesn't it? You can, it's just on a stand, and so it's at the right level for taking a photograph and everything. So just a simple stand. It's a little bit flimsy, but as I said, she's lasted for ages. It does have a little adjustable thing here, so you can adjust the height somewhat. And then the top bit, it just pops off, and it's just hollow foam inside. Now, the great thing about it being foam is, as I'm going to show you in a minute, you can stick pins into this and into the fabric and take them out again with no detrimental effects. So that is really good. Another thing that you will have noticed as I just picked her up is they are super lightweight. So very easy to take around. I usually do my weaving photography outdoors, in the garden, in natural light. I often use the sunset or the golden light at the end of the day because it's just so nice. And yeah, this is just really easy. I can carry this in one arm and I've got my camera in the other, or whatever. If I'm using my phone, I can stick it in my pocket and carry extra things, props. and the items themselves, of course. So let's have a look at the first item that I have to put on Bertha today. The first item that I have to model today is a scarf, and it's a very drapey scarf because it's made with bamboo. So when I have something that's really drapey, I want to accentuate that in a photo. I want people to be able to see in the photo that this is something that is very soft, very supple, very drapey, and with bamboo it has a bit of a gleam to it as well. It's a special kind of fibre and you want to show that off to the best of its ability. Now this scarf, if you have been around here for any length of time, you will know that this is the Moroccan Dream scarf. This is the scarf that you can get as a free download when you sign up to my free newsletter. The link will be down below. Okay, so let's just have a look at how we might start to drape this scarf. And by the way, it's double-sided. So one side is like this and the other side is more green dominant. So often your weaving will be will be different on each side, and that is great for photography too, because then you can use each side of the scarf. Now usually when I'm doing a scarf, I'll only do like a full length shot like this one if I am wanting to really give a customer, or say I'm doing it for a pattern, and I really want to show the person who's using the pattern or buying the item that it's a long scarf, or I want to show them the basic length of the scarf. This really helps to show that. And it also, I guess, just shows the pattern in its entirety. And so I could take one just like that. And then I could also very quickly and easily flip it over and do the same for the other side. Only thing there is I kind of like to line up the bottoms of the scarf just because I think that that looks a bit nicer. And that's a very simple and easy drape that anyone could do really. Now when I get outside, I do live in a place that is often quite windy. And so this is where the pins come in super handy. So I use T-pins. T-pins are great for a variety of things. Once again, they're not very expensive. But let's say that I was going outside and I wanted to have a very particular look for this scarf. Maybe I wanted to show it from the back and be a little bit fancy with it. So what I would do then is I would just drape it and have a look, and if I liked the way it looked, then I would pin in place. So this is how that would look. I could just divide that in half roughly, and then the half at the fold I could hold that near the neck, and then that would give me an idea of the placement for the shoulders to have a fairly symmetrical look. So to accentuate the drape, I want to give a little bit more fabric, yeah, so I can really see that, because you see if it's really tight, it looks different. It looks nice, but it looks different. I want to accentuate that drape, so as much as I think I want there. Then the little T-pin comes in, if you can see the T-pin. It's called a T-pin because it looks like a T. Isn't that amazing? And then you could just pop a pin in there, and I push it right in, right down. Sorry, Bertha. And then I can go to my middle part. I can also push that in. And then I can go to the opposite shoulder. Let's turn this a little bit. And let's see. Then I'm looking for a bit of symmetry. Do I have enough symmetry on either side? Push that right in. And this, don't worry about putting pins in your fabric, in your woven fabric. It'll be fine. You just don't want to like pull on this or anything, obviously, because then you might have some torn fabric or you might have some threads out of place. So just be careful about it. Okay, and then, so at this point I could go, all right, well, you know, I kind of like that, but at the same time, that isn't naturally how it would sit on the shoulders. So at that point, I might pull out the middle pin and just let that drape down there. So lovely. Okay, and I could grab a photo of that. Okay, so remembering that normally I would be doing my photography outside. And then another tip that I have for you is don't be shy to get right up close to your fabric and show it from kind of different angles. So I might go in from the edge here and show like a contrast between the whiteness of the mannequin and the color of my fabric, and see how that looks. And then I might just search around and look for where the fabric is draping and folding really beautifully, and I want to capture that. So let's see, just trying to find the right spot. There are actually a lot of spots here that I could use. And then of course, if I was outside, I'd have a nicer background. I wouldn't have all of my mess there in the background. Also, don't be afraid to go wide and try that and see how that looks. So many things to try. Okay, so that's a kind of a drapey look. And again, if you wanted to photograph from the front, well, we could bring these pins up a little more. Same on the other side. And then I could say, okay, I want to show off both sides in an interesting way. So I could use another pin. I've just folded the fabric over to show the other side. Pop another pin up the top there. In you go. And there you have yet another look. And then with scarves, of course, you've got a bunch of different kinds of knots that you can do. From very simple to more complex. There's one knot that is my absolute fave that I just use over and over with scarves. In fact, I've got this scarf tied in that way. But before we do the knots, I'll just show you another really simple drape. So to get approximately the middle of the scarf, so I can see the middle there, to pop that across the neck or drape it across the front of the body, and then to bring one side over and the other side over. So from the back, you've got just a little bit of it showing, and from the front you have yet another look to photograph. And with this look, you can arrange it so that it shows just one side of the fabric, or just so that you have some folded back and not the other. And another thing you can do is have this neck part. You can either have that tucked under the parts of the scarf that have come over, or you can untuck it to make it more of a feature, like a cowl. Isn't that nice? All right, let's have a look at that knot that I was talking about. I think you're going to have to come in closer for this one. It starts with just finding the center fold of the scarf. So I've done that there, but let's come in closer to show this properly. Okay, so we've got the center. And you hold that loop, but you pop it around the neck. So the scarf's doubled up. On one side you've got a loop, and on the other side you've got the ends of the scarf. Now I'm going to hold my hand through that loop from the outside to the inside, and then I'm going to take one of the ends of the scarf and take it through that way. And then, still holding the loop, going through the other side, so over from here, I've swapped hands so that I can go through the loop from the opposite side. I'm going to pull that one through there. And this just always looks good. You can tighten it up a little bit if you need to, or you can loosen it out a little bit if you want to. You can rearrange your fabric so that you're showing more of one side and less of the other, just as before. And that's a really, really nice knot. And that stays so well. It just, it doesn't go anywhere. It also provides really good opportunities for photography, because you can kind of fluff these bits out and then photograph them up really close and they look great. And let's not forget super simple things like just knotting it, a simple overhand knot like so, and you're done. Nothing wrong with that. You can pop it around to the side to show a different look, or you can just have it at the front and easy peasy. All right, we're going to move on to the garment that I've got now. This is a super flowy garment. It's a 10-cell garment, and it is from a class of mine from the weaving school. It's called the Clasped Warp Quechquemitl. Try to say that 10 times really fast. Now, this is the kind of garment that it's just so flowy that you could almost just chuck it and it would look fine. You just need to straighten it up a little bit. And yeah, look at that. You've already got there a beautiful photo. But then, of course, with a garment like this, there are other things that you can do, like with the styling. This one, you see here that on this side, it has mostly black on this spot and then the green on here. Well, if I swap it around, by the way, this mannequin is smaller than me. So if my things are slipping off it, if my garments slip off it, that should happen because it's smaller than me. It's like a size 8 or 10 and I'm not. And then on this side, we've got more of the black stripes coming in here, and then green and black stripes over this side are dominating. Either one is really beautiful. One thing I wanted to show you in particular for this garment is that it's got the V-neck on both sides, but it can be worn to the side. So let's do that. So we make it so that it looks like a boat neck at the top instead of the V-necks. So the V's now are on either shoulder. And how are we looking there? Sorry, I've got to get in front and get my hands on this. So again, that's a really pretty garment. And I just love this one because it's got all of those stripes happening at the front, but then at the sides, it's got these little peaks falling down like waterfalls. It's just so pretty. And again, I can swap it from back to front for a different look. And then you get a different color. We've got more green there with the black at the side and the green and black stripes at the side. So nice. Now, if I wanted to mess around with this a little bit, for photos, I could do so. I could grab my T-pins and I could do something like take these peaks up and over, stick them in. You could do the same on the other side. And then you've got a different look. Now, that would be more obviously for the photo than anything, because if you're actually wearing it, you would probably be wearing it with these parts down. Although, looking at it right now, you could use some sort of clip, or if you really liked it that way, you could even stitch. You could put a couple of stitches in at the shoulders to have it that way. So really with something like 10-cell, you don't need to do a lot of work when showing it off because it's just so showy anyway. The other thing I was saying about natural light, well, at the moment I'm in the studio. I've got natural light coming straight at me through the door, which you can probably see. But I'm not outdoors. I am in shadow partly with light sources coming in different parts, which is not ideal for photography of hand-woven garments. But if I went outside right now, and went into some of the golden light, that gleam on this tencel would be absolutely beautiful. Okay, my final pro tip of the day for this video is to press gently your item before you photograph it. Now, why is this important? Well, because when you have been wearing something or when you have just wet finished something, there's usually at least some amount of crinkling. And even if you have finished the garment and you folded it and sat it down and thought, okay, I'll take the photography for that tomorrow or the next day or whenever, it's going to get folds in it just from sitting there. Another point is that fibers like tencel and bamboo, they really shine once you iron them. But be careful. I always iron tencel and bamboo on a silk setting. I iron wool on a wool setting, and I iron cotton on a cotton setting. I always use steam, and if I'm worried at all about the temperature or if it's a fibre I haven't used before, I'm not too sure about, then I will always use a presser cloth, which can be as basic as a piece of scrap fabric, anything. Usually cotton is good because it's not going to scorch or anything. Pop that over the top and then press gently. But I tell you, once you've ironed, it can put life back into a piece. The steam kind of reactivates and plumps up the fibers. This is so soft. I wish you could feel this. It's so soft, it's so light, and it's so flowy and beautiful. And I did have this sitting around a little bit because it's from a class that I made many years ago. I have worn it, but in between it's actually on a hanger in my wardrobe, but there are other clothes on the hangers in my wardrobe and they kind of all bunch each other and creases happen. So I took this out today for this video. I ironed it and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to wear this again now because it is so gorgeous. So that's the last tip, is to carefully and gently press your items before you photograph them. It will make a world of difference. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. And as I said, lots of resources will be down underneath this video for you. Click on see more if you can't see the resources and you'll get a drop down menu. I hope that you can take advantage of them because I make them for you. And I'm very happy when people use them and learn from them and become happier, smarter people as a result of them. Okay, folks, that's all from me today. And until next time, happy weaving. Bud? Hey! I don't need dog's tails in the photo, thank you. I know I said that was all the tips for today's video, but I do have just one more very important professional tip. If you feel like photographing in your slippers, you just go ahead and do that.